What's up, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in. It is the On the Ball podcast. We are back with another episode. Um, so, I guess if you watched Passion and Precision, I teased this whole thing about today's show. Forget about that. Translate that to next week. Yeah, so I teased like we're going to have four people on. We're actually going to have only Brett and myself tonight. Ian had something come up, and then fourth person, I'm still not going to reveal who it is, will be on next week. So, tease for next week. It's a longer tease, whatever. Um, so tonight we're going to talk a lot about the NBA. I feel like the NBA put on their showcase this weekend. So Brett and I will discuss just I guess how successful was the weekend? Could it be better? What could they do? We'll talk about all that. NBA also has made some other news. We saw a couple of teams get fined for roster management, I believe they called it. Like, I don't know. It's tanking. That's what the NBA's finding teams for now. We'll see if that's a major problem. The NBA, could the league do more? We had expansion talk. And then we're going to look forward to the second half of the season. Kind of throw around some storylines and all that. Obviously, want to hear from you all in the chat. If you have a storyline that you want us to discuss, put it in there and we'll talk about it. So before we get into all that, he's not guarding the 2, he's guarding the 3. Brett, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be a great time. Don't worry about it. We promise you 4 people. I'm big enough to count as 3, so we good. We got you covered.
I mean, well, I wasn't going to go that route with it, but hey, we're still going to put on a great show for you all. So let's start with the tanking issue that the NBA seemingly it's a recurring issue that they have every year. A lot of people are looking at like every year you can look at 5 to 7 teams that completely just punt on the season for draft pick and all that. So Silver fined the Jazz and the Pacers for, like I said, roster management, which is basically pulling guys later in games when they had the lead or whatever for losses. It is what it is. Do you think the league is, I guess, doing enough for the tanking issue? Do you think tanking is even an issue in the NBA?
When you have a lottery system that incentivizes, losing, teams are going to try to lose. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's as big of an issue as they're making it out to be. Like, okay, it's an issue now, but it wasn't an issue a couple of years ago when the Thunder were ruling out Al Horford because he's old, and Shea apparently had the worst like hamstring strain of all hamstring strains when he missed like 60 games. It's funny that like when a team like the Thunder or Spurs are doing, tanking, it's okay, but now all of a sudden it's like the Wizards and Jazz and Pacers and the NBA is like, oh, that doesn't work for me, brother. I don't think it's as big an issue as they're making it. And I think it's really bizarre at times how they pick and choose who they want to go after. That's wild to me. So all I'm saying is, look, better be consistent. So next, if I start seeing some of these other bigger market teams pulling their stars, I better see those fines too.
Mm-hmm. No, look, I agree. I think it is something that for like sports talk radio or talking heads and all that, yeah, tanking is an issue. I think as a league, it's something that you don't like, but I don't think it's something that you go into every season and you're just like, oh, who cares? Because teams are just going to be tanking anyway. Because as we've seen the past few years as well, teams will tank and they don't even get a top pick, or they just completely butcher their pick anyway. So if you're going to do all this tanking, and you did say, what's going on, Jory? You talked about like when the Thunder do it or the Spurs do it, nobody really cares. Because those two organizations, at least when they do it, they kind of pay it off and get better. We've gone through so many years where we're seeing the Wizards down, the Jazz down, the Kings down. It's just the same teams over and over. I think that part of it is where if you have a problem with it, I get it, but I just don't see how the league necessarily does away with it. And Jory brings up the point here where I keep forgetting the dude on ESPN. I think it's like Duke Dennis or something Jr. kind of brought this up, and then somebody asked Adam Silver about it, and Adam Silver was like, "Well, we'll consider it," or
worst idea ever,
something like that. If the league got to the point where they actually got rid of the draft and allowed college kids to be basically free agents, how detrimental do you think that could be to the product?
Very.
I agree.
How are, for example, if the rookies can pick where they go, for example, how are you ever going to get like a Victor Wembanyama to go to Charlotte, or a generational talent to go to the Wizards, or even the Milwaukee Bucks? Like, how do you expect these teams to improve if all the top talents are just going to get poached by all the big market teams? So I don't like the idea of just getting rid of the draft lottery, because it feels like that this is a system that just needs to be in place. Otherwise, all these big market teams are just going to take all the best talent. And all of a sudden we'll get in a situation where a lot of these smaller market teams just don't have a avenue or path to improve. So it's a really bad idea to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why it's even an option. Like I said, maybe Adam Silver being asked about it, he kind of gave like the corporate answer, like, "Oh, we'll consider it," and I'm hoping that's where it ends. I hope he doesn't actually, go and discuss it, because I guess the pushback from the people who may like it is like, "Well, you do have a salary cap, you have all this, so that's gonna." It's like, no, all the guys are gonna want to go to the same teams every year, and it's just not gonna be. I feel like it wouldn't be sustainable. So I hope it's something that doesn't happen. But even when you look at the draft, I feel like the tweaks that they've made to the draft order should kind of prevent tanking. Like tanking back when, you had the worst record, you had the overwhelmingly best chance to get the top pick. Sure, I get it. But now we're seeing teams with the 11th best odds winning the lottery. What really is the point of tanking? And then every year they tell us the NBA draft is like 3-4 guys and a bunch of, wild card picks. I just don't see why these teams are really going all out of their way to tank when a lot of them clearly can't evaluate talent because they just keep picking the wrong guy year after year. And maybe some of that is, on the college game, maybe making these guys more prepared for the league. Like, I don't know. Like, they have to do something, but I think the draft should stay. I also think tanking isn't that big of a deal because, as Jory also said, this is where I've been coming from. You're going to find the Pacers this year. Are they really tanking? No. They've been bad since we knew Halliburton was going to be out. They're basically just Siakam's old Raptors teams when he didn't have Kawhi with him. Not that good. The Jazz I understand, because the Jazz were kind of on radar before the season because they have like a top something protected pick. So everybody's like, yeah, the Jazz, if they're not in that range, they may do something and try to fall back into it. That makes sense. The Pacers, I don't get. People mad about the Kings, I don't get. The Kings were already way out of it. They're not tanking. They just stink. So we can't blend the two. Like the Bulls are a team. If you want to say maybe they're tanking, sure. They started off really well. They slowly kept fading. We saw the trade deadline that they just had where they basically took on every guard they could that was available. Their roster's really unbalanced. You want to talk about tanking? We can talk about the Bulls or something. So not every team should be thrown in the same pot.
I'd say that honestly, that comment from Jory might be the greatest comment we get all show, because I think too many people confuse poorly run teams from teams that are actually just trying to tank.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, for example, the Jazz, they're not bad because they didn't get top picks. They just struggle to evaluate great talent a lot of the times. Like you don't go into the lot. You went into the lottery and you came out with a guy like Cody Williams. Not a great use of your assets.
Right.
That being said, I think they're going to be turning a corner like next year, but I think just too many people just think like, no, the team's tanking. Like, no, I promise you, the Kings are just bad. Like they're just poorly run. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just draft undersized guards every year and expect something to change.
Right.
So overall, at the end of the day, I love that comment from Jory. Yeah, too many teams are just really poorly run, and there's a difference between that and tanking.
Right. So, I think like I'm fine with the league like looking into it. I just hope they don't do anything crazy drastic about it. I mean, I honestly don't know what else they could do. Like they put less incentive on being terrible because you have less of a chance of getting the number one pick. So they like kind of like evened out the draft order. Like that seems like enough to me. If these teams want to continue down this road, they'll probably see, their fandom drop, which obviously the league has to worry about. But look, some of these teams get bad enough, start, taking these organizations away from these people that own them, give it to somebody else, threaten to move them. We've seen leagues do that before. Like, I feel like there's other ways to go about this than getting rid of the draft, which would be absolutely crazy.
And it costs money to be a bad team, right? Like, it's not like these organizations really, really want to tank or lose this long, because the reality is you don't get playoff revenue. You don't get extra games for the play-in. Talk about the coaching staff. If you're a losing team, now you're changing out coaches over and over again, and now you're paying millions to coaches who just aren't even on your staff anymore. I truly believe people just kind of underestimate that while, tanking can get you the best players, etc., theoretically, it also can lose you a lot of money, because if you're tanking for 10 years, like, you're just going to make your fan base mad.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you're not getting as much revenue, and like I just mentioned with the coaching, there's just a lot of pitfalls to tanking and being a bad franchise that I feel like people don't take into consideration.
Right. Completely agree. All right. So look, kicked off with some tank talk. Let's get into All-Star Weekend. We understood that the new format was taking effect this year, USA versus the world. Well, it was like 2 USA teams versus 1 world team. But the other stuff was the same: dunk contest, 3-point, the shooting stars, whatever, celebrity game, all that, HBCU game. Yeah, all that was the same, but everybody was looking for this format to see whether or not it could help save the All-Star game that obviously was losing viewership, interest, all that. We did see the whole round robin thing. 3 out of the 4 games were really competitive. The championship game wasn't, which kind of put a damper on everything, but that game was out of hand. You kind of understood it. Kawhi Leonard looked really good. Wemby was actually mad that they lost the first game, which was something that we would never see years before in an All-Star game. We saw Jaylen Brown. We saw LeBron giving a little extra effort. So ultimately, the USA, it was like the young USA squad beat the old heads, as everybody's putting it, to win All-Star Weekend. The world team lost both of their games, which I think when we talked about last week, we thought the world team was going to be a lot better, but Luka was kind of limited as he's still dealing with the hamstring. Jokic didn't play too much, it seemed like. It was, basically Wemby and Siakam and those guys you saw a lot of. So looking at how the games went, are you a fan now of not saying you weren't before, but, do you think it was a success for the league to the point that they don't need to tweak anything with this format?
Yeah, I thought it was. I don't think you're going to get a much better All-Star game than what we got at this point than the one we just had. So overall, I think it's fine. I think it went well. So I'm here for it. I thought it was one of the best All-Star games that we've had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Since those first 2 years they had the elim endings. So overall, great weekend for I think All-Star weekend.
I mean, I agree. Look, I thought, like I said, Wemby visibly upset that they lost the first game kind of set the tone for the rest of the evening. I do think with I guess the USA versus the world aspect, it did create the almost like Olympic type vibe to it, where obviously the USA team wanted to put on a show against the world team, whatever. And I agree, it was a fun game that was going on in FYF Sports. I thought the All-Star game was fire. Yeah. Yeah, Wemby absolutely did. Wemby, look, he was blocking shots. He was taking threes. He was doing everything. And even outside of Wemby, we saw, guys scrambling on defense. We saw closeouts on threes. We saw contested rebounds. We saw fouling. These are a lot of things we weren't seeing because guys would just, do the whole runway thing. A guy would come across half court. Everybody would just part ways and then, layup line type stuff. So it was definitely a good day for the league, because if they had another bad All-Star game, we'd be sitting here talking about, is the All-Star game even needed anymore? And thinking of another way to fix it. It seems like they finally have. My only question would be, do you think they need to add another world team where you have 2 and 2, or get to the point where it's just one world team, one US team, or are you fine with this way?
And it almost feels like that. It's weird because I would say just have one world team and one US team, but with the way they still split up the voting to be East-West is kind of odd.
Yeah,
odd. And
that is weird.
Yeah, saying I get it. It's pastime tradition, but when it comes to getting enough people, for example, Team World, when all the names are just kind of mix and match like they are in the voting, so maybe make a filter with, maybe just vote for Team World and Team USA instead of East-West. So that might be a way to do it, but yeah. I'm not. But I do like the idea of just one Team World and one Team USA.
See, now I think the interesting part about that is, did this work because the games were shorter? And if they did actually go to a 4-quarter game, would we get more of the kind of lackadaisical stuff we were seeing before? I guess that'd be my only thing. I know some people thought the quarter, with each quarter being a game, was a little short, but it seemed to kind of increase the intensity, so I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like the shorter games, so overall, I'm happy with the progress that was made this past weekend. We'll see how they capitalize on it next year.
Mm-hmm.
The real question is, when are we getting them ones unrivaled?
Look, that would be fun. I mean, I've come to the point where it's if you don't want to do 1v1, that's fine. They do 3v3. Let these guys go out, get their buddies together for 3-man teams, and do a tournament that way. I don't care. You got to do something, because as good as the All-Star game was, we got to talk about Saturday night. Talk about it every year. 3-point contest excluded, because that contest was great. What do you think about Dame's performance? Didn't play a game. Looked like old Dame in a 3-point contest. George says too much pride. I mean, that is kind of the problem. Everybody's worried about their brand. So let's say Ant lost to Corey Kispert. I don't even know why his name came to mind, but we know how Ant would react. I mean, us as fans would find it entertaining, but yeah, he probably wouldn't want to do it again because the chance he could lose to somebody else like that, which is crazy. But
I would say if you just open up the forum to let anybody play ones, that would be That would be the greatest thing ever. There are so many good players, like in terms of 1v1s that just aren't all stars. Like, people would always pick on, for example, a guy like Cam Reddish, but look, in a game of ones, I'm betting money against like 95% of the league that Cam Reddish is winning one. So, like overall, I know it won't happen, but it would be a lot of fun.
Okay, because I guess a question I was going to have, which I'll save for after the talk about each competition. So 3-point competition, we saw Dame really played really well. Booker looked great. Shout out to Concanupple. He looked really good. And Dame's already calling out Steph and Clay, Book to do it again next year. So that competition is fine. I think we could both agree that's the competition. That's the competition that needs to end Saturday night.
No, absolutely. And I think next year, if you're going to get all the best shooters in there, I think you got to look. I think you got to bring back Sabrina Ionescu for that one.
I'm about to say, shouldn't at this point expand it to WNBA? Not even just like one. You can invite a couple of WNBA players. Like if that competition took over the whole night, it was a little bit longer, I don't think anybody would care at all. What's up, Pacers Stink? They gotta do like the Pro Bowl and have all these stupid events at the end of the year. It's ridiculous. The NBA gives these guys 2 weeks off in the middle of the season and they still load manage. I mean, I don't know. Like if the NBA did this at the end of the year, you'd be waiting until like July. And then at that point, I don't think anybody would actually do it at that point. I think in the middle of the season is your best bet for the NBA. But I get what you're saying, Pacers thing. I'm done with Jackson Hayes. Yeah, I look, Jory, I completely understand that one. So, okay, we both agree that WNBA integration is a 3-point contest would make a lot of sense. Hopefully, next year when they're not in a labor dispute, we could probably get back to that. All right, let's talk about the dunk contest because Jory's already put Jackson Hayes out there. I honestly don't know anymore what to do because if we're not going to get big names in it, like I don't even care if we get guys who aren't big household names because it could be like a way to get them in front of people. And, like if someone came with some really great dunk, you'd be like, oh, maybe I'll check out his team a little bit more. But if we're going to get what we're getting right now, this is the question. Do you eliminate the dunk contest?
I think you just get professional dunkers for the dunk contest. It feels like that's easy enough, right? Like, as soon as you start inviting guys, like you saw, like, they invited Jackson Hayes, and you immediately were like, what the fuck is Jackson Hayes going to do? Which he hit that, that rim grazer off one, I guess. But they invited Jace Richardson, which I'm like, okay, it feels like that they are doing this because his, dad's Jason Richardson.
Right.
And I thought he had a fine showing up until the infamous, like, hitting his head on the floor dunk. So, I'd say that was scary, but no, I think the solution at the end of the day is gotta go get some professional dunkers if you want to keep this going. It's clear none of the stars are going to do it, so just go get some professional dunkers. Have this be like the opening or like the mid act of Saturday night, and call it good.
So I think there's a hybrid solution to this because we saw switching USA World help the All-Star game. I agree. Go get professional dunkers. But let NBA players still do it. Once you have guys from outside the league come in, which I guess we thought maybe Mac McClung would have done that, but he's still kind of within the NBA family. But if you have street ballers come in and put on a better show, that might light the fire under some of these guys who haven't done it to try to go into it to kind of reclaim the NBA, I guess, good standing with the dunk. Because I believe you can't eliminate it only because the dunk for so long was like the most exciting thing in a game. Everybody loves seeing, Dominique or Sean Kemp or whatever dunking in game, that just doing away with it would kind of, I don't know, hurt the weekend a little bit. But bring the street ballers in who post videos all the time showing the kind of crazy dunks that they're doing, and see if that doesn't force Ant Edwards to go in one year to try to beat one of them. So I think you kind of do a little hybrid. Because I agree, if we get another year where Jackson Hayes are doing it and they're just going out there, like, I don't know, wasting our time, like, yeah, it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse.
Say now,
but that's what I'm saying, Mo. That's why you bring the people from the outside to do it, because then the shaming's a little different.
Here we go. And look, how about instead of the skills challenge, Kyle, we get the unskilled challenge. Let's get a 3-point contest when it's like 10 people I just picked out of the crowd. Like, really just 10 average Joes. Like, genuinely, it just might be a lot of fun with people who have, like, if they have nothing to lose, they don't care if they get clowned on. It could just make for a fun idea. I just think it'd also be a fun contrast. Like, hey, before the 3-point contest, we're going to pick 10 random people and have a mini 3-point contest, put into perspective how good these players are. But look, I just think adding an average person and these just might make it say some fun. We all get some good laughs. It'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, when they do that in between games, or sometimes you don't see it on TV, where they like bring the fan out to like the half court shot, or some of them do like a little shooting like expedition where like each shot they make is worth a certain amount of money. Yeah, they did that. Sure, they could do that. Have some fun with it. But
hey, if you win the first 3-point contest, you get thrown into the second one.
Right, exactly. Hey, make it really about the fans. So look, the dunk contest is almost also in a no-win situation, because guys are doing dunks and everybody just goes, yeah, that's cool. But we just look at it and we always compare it to, Gordon versus Levine, or Vince Carter, what he did and all that. And I just don't think these guys could live up to it anymore, because we've just seen everything. I feel like, hey, go trampolines and let the mascots start dunking. Like, let's do that.
Hey, look, I'm just saying the regular guys in the stands would probably try really hard, and it might be entertaining. At least for the first year.
Yeah. We used to rock on the blacktop. We played knockout, one dunk each. Best dunk wins. Okay. So basically what I'm getting is everybody's kind of over the dunk contest and wouldn't share if they got away if they did away with it, which I completely understand that. What were your thoughts on shooting stars? I thought it was cool seeing Allan Houston still, knocking down jumpers, and Rick Brunson. Like, it's good to see kind of the blend of like old players and new players. Like, that competition, I feel like isn't like the greatest, but I also don't have the biggest problem with it.
Yeah, no, like I said, at the end of the day, I liked it. I think I just enjoyed all the stuff that came out of this weekend outside of like the dunk contest, but
right, that's the one thing that keeps dragging down the weekend.
Right, yeah. Like I feel like everything else like went as well as you could possibly have expected it to.
Yeah. So is there competition that you would? Because we talk about obviously the regular people just doing a 3-point whatever, but if we were using NBA players, is there something else you would like to see either brought back that they used to do, or just something new? Like, what would you think?
It's tough because it feels like they have like pretty much everything that you'd want, unless like say maybe have a 3-on-3 tournament. If they won't do 1-on-1, I'd be able to convince them to do threes. But like overall, I think they pretty much have all the events that you want. With the obvious outlier will always be a 1v1 competition, but we've already kind of established that that's not going to happen. So overall, I think all the events they have right now are fine.
I kind of miss the little skills challenge thing. Yeah, Mo, that's what we're like. Maybe 3-on-3 will work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, its skills challenge is great. I thought it was funny last year with Wemby and Chris Paul. They broke it so bad they just decided to not bring it back.
Right. Now I will say about the dunk contest, because a lot of people look at this current situation and they go, "It's LeBron's fault because LeBron never did it." They go, Jordan did it, Kobe did it, whatever. So now what I've seen, I think Windhorse and those guys at First Take were talking about who's the guy who needs to do the dunk contest to kind of bring it back. So who is that for you?
It's funny because it doesn't even feel like it needs to be like a superstar at this point. If we can get like a fringe All NBA guy to, do it, like that would be awesome. Okay. Like, I feel like maybe the most, would it be awesome to get like, say even one of the top 10 guys to do it? Yeah, but that's not going to happen. But I would honestly love if someone, for example, like Ja Morant did it. That would be awesome. I think he's somebody that you're kind of seeing his star kind of fade, even though he's still a good player. But I feel like that what would be a great publicity for him if he just 180'd and did the dunk contest. I think that would actually gain him a lot of favor in the eyes of fans.
Okay. I mean, I definitely see that. So the name that Windhorse threw out there, he said Wemby has to do it. And I was like, what do you want Wemby to do then? Like, I mean, it'd be cool to see Wemby do it because he'd be like, probably the biggest name out there to do it. But aesthetically, it's like, I don't think he would look good trying to put on a show with dunks. Like, I don't know why Windhorse went there. I do think the obvious answers are Ant and Ja.
That's just such a weird one too, because with the way Wemby's frame is and the way he's built, like, what are you possibly expecting a Wemby dunk contest to look like? That man's just going to be hitting the two-handed rim runners.
Right. Which, because of his name, they'd probably give it 50s anyway, but yeah, it wouldn't be a good competition. And look, to Pacers' point, this is why I said the backlash that Jaylen Brown got, be careful. Because the fact that Jaylen Brown actually wanted to do it should have been celebrated, but then they killed him for the dunks that he did. And now we're back to square one where why would guys want to do it again? Because Jaylen Brown took it seriously and nobody liked it.
Yeah, no, and like Wemby was upset after Team World lost yesterday, and people were clowning him for that. Like,
yeah,
do you want these games to matter or not? Like, if you want them to matter, you can't just go around clowning players for caring.
Right, exactly. That's my biggest thing. It's like fans have to understand. Well, even media too, because they're a part of this as well. Like, you can't, like you said, clown them when they do it and try, but they fail, and then get upset when they don't even try.
Say, it's hey, you know what? For that, say for that 1v1 tournament thing, though, we had 4 guys say they'd be down. Say you got Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Giannis, and Kyrie said they'd all be down for it, and they'd do it.
Then make it happen. Those 4 would be a good start. You get other people to do it. If other guys don't want to do it, fine. We'll have enough to do it. Then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, that would be great. It almost feels like would you have to like separate guards and forwards, for example, because it feels like if you get like, for example, let's say Darius Garland wanted to do ones, would it really be fair to be like, yeah, hey, here's Giannis in the first round?
Well, sometimes that makes for good upsets. Let's say Garland gets on a heater. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm curious on if they, for example, even decided to do that. Would they like just do one big one or try to break it off into bigs and smalls, or
I'd say put them all together. You might get some crazy mismatches, but then again, you might get. I mean, look, in Unrivaled, I'm a big Aaliyah Boston fan, but I saw she was going against Brianna Stewart. I was a little worried, and then Aaliyah Boston completely, took over. I mean, they're still forwards, but you look at them, and most people think, Stewart's more athletic or whatever, or has more range. Like you get some mismatches that turn out to be really good one-on-one games. Now, of course, if you had like Wemby versus Peyton Pritchard, yeah, it might be a little crazy, but I would still watch it. I think it'd be kind of hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's funny about that? That would be like the time where Peyton Pritchard just goes on an absolute heater and makes it the greatest 1v1 of all time.
Exactly. So the fact that they have players saying that they would do it, I think the league should take advantage of that. And like you said, you have Ant in it. I think Ant would bring other guys who want to do it. Giannis as well. Like, yeah, I'd be down. I agree with you, Pacers. Okay, so maybe there's still some hope. All right, so the NBA is talking about expansion. Probably not anytime soon, maybe the next few years. Right now, Seattle and Vegas are kind of like the leading spots. So if you were going to go do expansion, would you do 2 West Coast teams? Would you do 1 West Coast, 1 East Coast? And then how would you kind of shake out the teams after that? Because if obviously both go to the Western Conference, somebody has to move. And if you do 1 West, 1 East, then you don't have to worry about that. So who would you hope expansion goes to?
I'd say you put them out in the West and then you move Minnesota to the East.
Okay.
Like, the division's right there. The rivalries are right there. Like, put Minnesota in the Central with Milwaukee, and Chicago. Like, these are areas where, Minnesota has rivalries with and other sports. So, let's see if you can tap into that. And you might have to move a team to a different division, but that's fine. I just think that Minnesota joining the Central would make a lot of sense. So I say Vegas and Seattle, if those are the 2 teams, great. Put them in the East and move Minnesota, or say put them in the West and move Minnesota East.
Okay.
And if you need a second team, Memphis, move them to the East.
Right. Well, right now only one would have to go. Because this has been my thinking the whole time as well. Like Memphis fitting into the Southeast makes a lot of sense. You got Atlanta that's right there. Charlotte's right there. But then I was looking at the divisions, even though we don't really pay attention to the divisions in the NBA because it's all about the conference standings. Minnesota does kind of stick out because Minnesota is in the Northwest Division, one with the Thunder, who need to move out of there for sure. But the Nuggets, the Trailblazers, and the Jazz, Minnesota doesn't fit. So I agree geographically, Minnesota moving to the Central with Milwaukee and Indiana and Detroit makes perfect sense. So I think Seattle and Vegas go to the Northwest, and then the Thunder move to the Southwest with the Spurs and the Rockets and those teams. I feel like that fixes a lot of it. I guess unfortunately Memphis would have to stay in the Southwest, but it's not that. I feel like that one's not as bad as Minnesota in the Northwest. Like that's crazy. I mean, the Pelicans could technically move as well, but then you're dealing with a lot more because I think the Eastern Conference makes a lot of sense the way that the teams are. So it'd be tough to move like Memphis and New Orleans out there and moving teams from the East back to the West. Like the Southeast, you're not going to touch Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Atlanta, Washington, all make a lot of sense. Yeah, the Memphis thing probably should have been fixed way before this. I think Memphis is kind of locked in where they are now. Because the Memphis part was, well, Vancouver was in the West. They just moved to Memphis. We'll just keep them in Vancouver. And it's like, we'll just keep them out West. It's like, no, they should have moved to the East when they moved to Memphis, but they didn't do it then. because you have to create balance. So if you move Memphis to the east, then you have to move somebody east west, and there's no real candidates at that point. Now, if they want to do more expansion, they get Vancouver back into the league, which I think would be a really good uh, place for them to go because it gives you that second Canada team again. And Vancouver is a good city to be in. I can't remember why they left in the first place. I'm assuming it was, bad ownership probably, but that would be a good place to go if they wanted to go past 32, which that'd probably be way down the line. So, yeah, I agree. Seattle and Vegas, out west, Minnesota to the central. Actually, now that I think about it, Vegas you could actually put in the Pacific with like the Lakers in them, and then leave Seattle in the northwest, and then move Thunder down to the southwest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if say it'll be interesting to see if they do expand after that. If Vancouver does get considered, because I know they first time they moved as it was all money related. They wanted to move to a better market because Vancouver wasn't really selling for them. So, granted, it also was a complicated situation because the guy that you got in Vancouver didn't want to be there, which is obviously Steve Francis, and he refused to play in Vancouver and force a trade. So, I don't. At the end of the day, though, after like suffering the heavy losses that they did, like if they do decide to expand after Seattle and Vegas, I'm not sure if Vancouver gets the nod because they had financial issues the first time. I'm not sure if they want to try to run that back.
Yeah, that's true. It just seems weird with Toronto being the only Canadian team. But hey, maybe the Toronto thing doesn't work and they move Toronto, then that creates even more chaos. But yeah, look, as long as Seattle gets their team back, I feel like that's what matters the most. Like you bring back the Supersonics, you make their opening night like this big. Sean Kemp there, Gary Payton, just bring them all back, keep the color scheme, all that. Just you're just reviving the franchise. Like that's the best thing. I hope they don't try to do like some rebrand or something, because then we'll just be comparing it to the old Supersonics, and it will never live up. What's up, Andre? Only cities I can envision are Seattle and Vegas. I mean, this round, yeah. Like, there's other cities that don't have teams that you could potentially see. It'll just be a lot more chaotic. Yeah, those Sonic jerseys were goated. So I guess going off of this, little quick side question for you. A city that doesn't have an NBA team that should get one, obviously outside of Seattle, Vegas, and Vancouver that we talked about. Or at least where you would like to see one placed. If there is one.
See, that's real tough. Off the top of my head, there really isn't a place that I feel like desperately needs one, but yeah, I'm not sure honestly off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know that. Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of sports cities that don't have one that would really thrive with one. I mean, St. Louis lost NFL teams. Would they really do better with basketball? I don't know.
Like the only real big city I can't think of. Yeah, like Kansas City doesn't have an NBA team. Like maybe there, but
true.
After that, like the places you're looking at are more international. Like it feels like after that, it's like you want to put one in like Mexico City. Like it just feels like all the big spaces in the U.S. pretty much have an NBA team, and then with maybe like Kansas City being the only other place that we could feasibly put one, and it makes sense. We could just like relegate Sacramento and the Pelicans to like college.
I was about to say, yeah, are there cities that have one that you would take away from them?
Oh yeah, say Sacramento, the Pelicans, you can relegate them to the SEC for all I care. Like it's just such bad ownership. It's truly incredible.
Yeah.
Like the Kings, honestly, it almost feels like they deserve the number one pick because people talk about teams tanking.
Mm-hmm.
The Kings are just truly bad. Like, this is ethical tanking. They aren't even sitting anybody. They're just like, hey, guys, go hoop. And they're just so bad that you're just kind of, you feel bad for them. You're like, might need that number 1 pick to go to Sacramento, guys. This is ugly.
Yeah, but if they get it, you'd be worried about. Well, I guess this year it seems kind of easy who to take, since everybody's like it's basically the AJ draft.
Say AJ, Darren Peterson, or Boozer, and if they picked anyone not named those 3,
right,
that would be the most hilarious outcome possible.
That's also true. There's not a thing Shaq won't put money into, and yeah, he backed away from the Kings. That's kind of hilarious. Okay, so with this being the official start of the second half of the season after the All-Star break, what are some storylines from around the league that you're looking at, whether it's, player performance or a team or something like that? I guess what's got your attention second half of the NBA season?
Ooh, say I know one of the things that's got me curious is, can the Hornets keep up this torrid pace they've been on? Hornets have been absolutely cooking. They have, officially made it into play-in territory. But hey, I'm wondering if this team can make it into just straight up playoff territory and skip the play-in altogether. With the way they've been playing lately, they absolutely can. But we'll see if they can maintain the consistency needed down the stretch, because we're getting into the dog days of the season. So Hornets are going to be a team I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, the KD drama. Which, we'll talk a little about that at the end. Space, they could try giving Cincinnati. That might make sense with all those Midwest teams. Okay. Interesting city idea. I actually had the Hornets too. I had the Hornets and the Blazers. Can those two teams kind of keep up their pace? And whether it is as a play-in team or top 6, I think Blazers would be a little bit tougher to see. So if the Hornets were to get up there, would the Sixers be the team that you think falls out of the top 6? Or somebody else?
This might be because I'm not a big... I don't know. This might be a wild guess, but I don't know. It feels like the Raptors are going to fall out.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't believe in I don't believe in them. So I think there's a decent chance that they could fall out of the playoffs and into the play-in.
Okay.
I think
that's probably where I would go. The Raptors too.
So I think the other fun one is who are the Houston Rockets? Like, this is a team that, they're 4th in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds great. And then you actually look at them play, and their half-court offense is a disaster.
And there's no put. You got the KD drama now. Okay, so I guess for those tuning in, if you don't know the KD drama, so burner KD has popped up again, allegedly, and is like trash talking teammates and stuff. So I think the idea is it a big enough deal where like their locker room could be completely like torn apart, and KD looks like a complete idiot at the end of the season, which he probably already does, because why this man loves these burner accounts, I will never know. And then why the burner account is going in on some of these guys to a level that's can we verify that is KD? I guess no, but a lot of people are kind of attributing to him because it kind of matches previous burner account behavior. I don't know. Either way, the fact that KD is kind of linked to it, that's kind of the drama that I'm talking about. Where is it something that if teammates kind of read into it and believe it, could really rip apart that Rockets locker room. And that's why when you brought up that they could be a team that, to watch falling out of the top 6, the timing kind of fits. We'll see what the second half looks like with all this out there now.
It's one of those things that with the KD burner stuff, I think the worst thing that he could do is keep quiet on it, right?
Yeah.
Because all it takes is, for example, Jabari Smith to believe that it was him, and boom, there kind of goes your season because now you got teammates that are going to be beefing with each other.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, even if it wasn't him, if I'm KD, I'm probably going to come out and deny it because all it takes is one guy in that locker room taking those comments the wrong way, and it's very easy to do. So just and if it is actually KD, the real question is if you're the Rockets and then this causes all the locker room problems, are we going to be staring down the barrel of another Kevin Durant move this offseason? Or are we trading the guys that he has a problem with? So overall,
either way, yeah, they're gonna have to do one or the other.
If it's not him, he's got to come out and say it. But if it is him, oh man, buckle up. It's going to get messy in Houston.
Right. Because the longer he keeps quiet, if it isn't him, whoever account it is will probably just keep doing more and more of it to make KD look worse and worse because everybody's assuming it is KD. NBA owners, I mean, once LeBron retires, I don't see why NBA owners would necessarily care if LeBron wants to buy a franchise.
I'd say I don't think they'd actually. I think they'd let him. I
think they'd be completely fine with this.
Once he retires,
yeah,
all they care about is that green. So if he finds an investment group that'll let him buy a piece or a franchise, like they're not going to say no to him. Yeah.
I wouldn't mortgage my future to get rid of the people that KD talked about. I think if you're the Rockets, maybe you wanted this to come out a little bit earlier and have it kind of fleshed out where, and maybe you moved KD at the trade deadline, and then this isn't a storyline for the second half of the season. But it's crazy. So yeah, KD does need to kind of get out ahead of this and try to fan the flames a little bit. Like it's crazy right now, especially with the timing of it. Offering LeBron an early retirement discount. There you go. Oh, that's another thing. ESPN talked about that for like the 8th year in a row. Is the league ready for LeBron to retire? Yes, they are. Stop asking the question. And then Stephen A came on with the reason why LeBron won't retire is because he wants to be celebrated more. I'm like, how much more do we have to celebrate him before he wants to retire? At this rate, he's going to be out there till he's 50 then. If he's not celebrated enough. Like, I don't understand this at all. KD is smart. Well, because KD's gotten in trouble with burner accounts before. That's the only reason why people are talking about it. But the stuff that's from the account that he's being linked to, he has to address it now because it's current players in the locker room now. He can't just let it go and hope it just goes away.
The problem, too, is, look, if none of the guys in the locker room thinks it's him and it's not causing any issues, then probably just you don't got to say anything. It's whatever, because that's the opinion you care about, the guys in the locker room.
True.
But the problem with some of the stuff that was said,
there's no way they can't have a problem with it.
Right. Like, it was past the point of, like, constructive criticism, and we're at the point of just being straight hateful.
Yeah.
So, look, I don't think, at the end of the day, if the guys in the locker room don't think it's him, there's no issues, then he just move right along past it. That's completely his choice. But I don't know. If you're I'm sure he'll address it with the guys in there. He might never address it to us, but I'm sure it'll get addressed and it'll get swept under the rug. My problem with the Houston Rockets is the lack of shooting from Amen Thompson and Alperen Sengun has allowed pretty much just every time KD gets the ball in the high post and where he likes to get his spots, they're just getting completely smothered in double teams. I just think guys like Amen, for example, they got to learn how to do weapons off the ball. Sengun's got to be more effective off the ball if they really want to make this work. Because right now, this is a team that can't get anything going in the half court.
Yeah.
Say, because we have two guys constantly playing that just aren't really threats off the ball. So overall, I just don't like it just on the court in general unless they can figure out this spacing issue they got going on.
Mm-hmm. When I mean, I'm not surprised either because a lot of these guys are, yeah, they just can't handle, I guess, critiquing, and a lot of them create burner accounts to kind of support themselves. Like whatever, I don't even care about that part of it. And for me, kind of like what Brett was saying, it was just the stuff that was said about current teammates and how that could potentially turn into something. That's the only part of this that I'm coming from. I'm not saying that it's 100% KD, even though it's a KD type of behavior with the burner accounts that's so publicized. Like, that's where we're talking about it. Like, we're not sitting here trying to condemn KD because we don't know if it is him or it isn't, and we don't know how the teammates took it or if they even care. But with some of the stuff that was in there, it'd be hard for me to think that teammates will just look at it and go, well, let's just go win an NBA title. We'll put this behind us. Because like you said, it's one thing if he's like, so-and-so doesn't pass me the ball, whatever. But the Jabari Smith stuff especially, that's tough to get past. That's all we're talking about. And you keep talking about the NBA owner. You said,
I'm not, believe me, you're not going to catch anybody like overwhelmingly praising Jerry Colangelo.
Right.
Yeah. Like he shouldn't have done it either.
Yeah.
Like it happens. Like this isn't the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
I think it's so shocking because we've never seen it like this, right? Like he has just come, like it gets leaked and it's about an absolutely current teammate who you are, using slurs on. Like it's weird. It's just weird. Like to be clear, I really do not think that it's Kevin Durant. Like the way it was executed, I genuinely don't think it's him. But that's kind of why it's interesting. He's gotten in trouble, with the burner stuff, but also like he's like just hate talking his own teammate that he has to suit up with next week. So overall, though, I'll let you know this, Reed. I actually don't think it's KD. I really don't.
And I'm also hoping it's not KD because I think one, it'd be immature of KD to really do that now and think he could get away with it when talking about current teammates and even just guys around the league as well. Like he talked about, well, I guess we'll say the account, talked about, Steph Curry or Westbrook, the triple double cocaine bear or whatever. Like it's like the most immature stuff. But like if they came out and said it was KD, I wouldn't be surprised either. I like I said, I'd be like, it's pretty immature for, a guy in his late 30s to do, but I don't know. It's just the weirdest timing, like All-Star weekend, and it's like, hey, look at these burner account stuff. And it's just like, you can't even let the NBA win for like a week.
I will say triple double cocaine bear is probably the greatest nickname that came out of that. Like what?
Yeah.
That's a big reason why I don't actually think it's Kevin, because like Kevin Durant just literally has been responding to people on his normal account ever since the burner incident. Like, would it surprise me if he had a burner? Like multiple? No, but I feel like Kevin Durant is a kind of guy, and obviously I don't personally know KD, but it just seems like if he has something to say, he's going to say it from his own account. And if he has a problem with, for example, Jabari Smith, he'll talk to Jabari Smith. Like, dude's 37. I don't think he's actually trying to start some high school drama. He will always be Cocaine Curry.
Yeah, so like we're not sitting here trying to like kill KD. It's just an interesting story. But yeah, I mean, this is also the man who went on a podcast talking about he doesn't shower or take, get haircuts and stuff like that. He doesn't use lotion. So clearly he's pretty open to kind of say whatever he wants and let us know that it's him. But I guess getting past it, I guess another storyline for me is the whole Tatum stuff. Will he return? Because now we're seeing NBC move the March first game to prime time, and everybody's like reading into it. Like, is that when Tatum comes back? Like, I don't know. I think it's something where it's going to be interesting to see with the Celtics playing the way that they are right now. If you integrate Tatum back into it, does he become a bench guy? Does he automatically start? Does that mess with the chemistry? And if Tatum comes back, does that push the Celtics to being East favorites? Like, I think it's interesting. He is, I guess, practicing with the G League team right now. As Jaylen Brown said, he looks pretty good from what he's seen. So I think this is going to fuel more rumors. But I don't know. March 1st seems really soon, but I guess crazier things have happened.
I feel like that it's not going to happen, though. I think that when it comes to Tatum, just sit him out.
Mm-hmm.
Come back next year. It feels like that you have something going right now with, this iteration of the team.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is just get Tatum healthy for next year. If this team, flames out in the first round of the playoffs, great, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
If this team somehow just collapses and misses the playoffs, great. Who cares? At the end of the day, this was supposed to be a year where we thought that they'd be rebuilding anyway, or not rebuilding, but let's say retooling for a year until Tatum got back.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't rush Tatum back and risk him getting hurt again over, in all essence, what we all consider to be a gap year anyway. So let Tatum come back fully healthy with a revamped roster, which, now obviously includes guys like Vooch. So
only a Knicks fan. Only a Knicks fan. All right, Pacers thing. Yeah, I feel like the team. Look, I feel like Brad Stevens and those guys will definitely be careful with him. I do think the pressure from probably like the media and fans to bring him back, especially if they continue to be a top, 2-3 seed, everybody will start thinking, well, if you bring Tatum back, then they'll be whatever. It's like, I'm with you. Whatever you're getting this year, I'm perfectly fine with. Like, you've learned a little bit more about Ugo Gonzalez. You learned about Luka Garza. You learned about Keita. You learned about Hauser, all these other guys. So now when you go into next year, you have a better team and you have a better understanding of those guys. And, hopefully Tatum sitting on the sideline and watching them, he's learned a lot more about them so that they could be much better off next year. Hey, it was also a good part of that year? The Knicks not winning the title after beating the Celtics. How about that, Pacers thing? Y'all couldn't even close the deal. You couldn't even make the finals after beating the Celtics. So, hey, celebrate that title from 72 and keep it running. Which, were you alive for that one? I don't know. But hey, you got Jalen Brunson. Every year, they'll tease you. And here's another thing. They're not winning the title this year either. The Knicks are not winning the title. What's up, Kerm? So
yeah, you know what the Knicks need? They need a locker room leader. Maybe they can get Big Perk from ESPN.
No, you got Jalen Brunson. You got Rick Brunson. They can handle it. They got it.
Look, I'm just trying to get Big Perk off the TV sets, man. Yo, Knicks, you need a 15th man?
Oh, Perk is, oh, God. Because he was a part of that LeBron talk, and he just annoyed me so much. Because he was like, is the league ready? He's like, no, because I haven't seen it yet. I'm like, Perk, you're on TV to give your opinion. Like, stop with this. If you really think that LeBron walked out tomorrow, the league would like fold or something, there's a problem with you. Like, you have Wemby, you have Ant, you have SGA, you have all these young guys that are there. Why should we care about LeBron, like, having to hold on for a few more years until one of these young guys steps up and takes the mantle? Like, why are we doing this?
I have a suggestion, too. If you really want these young guys to get over, maybe push the young guys you want to get over. It's a tried and true formula. Michael Jordan didn't just become the face of the NBA because, he took the mantle, like the NBA got behind him, pushed him, and he took advantage of all that opportunity. Like, LeBron James, obviously going into the league, he was the chosen one, but he reaches the level he did. Big part, the NBA marketing machine gets behind him and builds him up. It feels like that's the biggest difference right now in building up a star then and building up a star now. What do we like to do instead of actually building up players? We try to tear each and every one of them down half the time. Whatever gets the most clicks, right?
Yeah. That's the biggest problem. Yeah.
I feel like if you're an actual like accredited source like ESPN and whatnot, you should be trying to help build the league up. So it's one of those things that if you want to build up these players,
I absolutely noticed that 3D. Yeah, that's also part of the problem because you have Richard Jefferson played with LeBron, Perk. We played with LeBron and played with LeBron. They've had, let's see who else. Like the Morris twins when they had them on for the little part that they did. Yeah, Shumpert now all of a sudden's on there. Channing Frye, I was trying to remember him. Danny Green's like, why would these guys want to push LeBron out the door? Like they're invested. Get some other people on there to talk about it, please. Like for the love of God, please. Like Perk, we all talk about. He's not that good at this. Like you could definitely do away with him. Like yeah. Like this is the group here, and these are like the ones you see the most talking NBA on ESPN, especially Richard Jefferson. That guy, he's got to let it go. And even like NBC and them, isn't Dwayne Wade a part of one of those? Like having him try to critique LeBron, you're not going to get anything constructive out of that.
Oh yeah,
they need to diversify their NBA coverage on ESPN.
Absolutely, and like I said, start building these guys up. Talk about what they do well. Talk about how good they are. Let's push these smaller market teams. Like there's solutions. You can help build up this next star, but they refuse to.
That was one thing from the All-Star. Yeah, Reggie Miller, like he was like 2 seconds away from running out there and giving him a hug during the game. Like it was a little bit too much. Danny Green I thought he was ESPN. Or did he move from ESPN? I don't know. He's one of them. Oh, yeah. Austin Rivers is another one. Very biased when he's on there, but yeah.
He can take his dad if he wants.
Yeah, but I mean, they have Rivers as the like sideline guy with Robbie Hummel usually does the other sideline, which Robbie Hummel's actually pretty good. I like listening to him. But yeah, the outright just gotta stop it. Because look, LeBron's gonna be gone in like a year or two. The league will continue. Like it's okay to say that. That's not pushing LeBron out. That's not disrespecting him. It's just what it is. Weird seeing Chris Webber back on TNT with Mashburn and Jalen Rose. I honestly didn't even know Webber was back. I was kind of mad when Webber left. I thought he was all right. Was that like a Fab Five thing? If Mashburn, well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess good that Webber's back on TV. Yeah, that's true. Those Purdue teams with Robbie Hummel, every time March Madness came around, I always had Purdue going way too far in the tournament. They'd always lose early, and I'd be like, I thought Robbie Hummel was a pretty good player, but he had terrible knees. Any other, I guess, second half storylines you're looking at?
I'll be interested in the Orlando Magic as well. I think Jamal Mosley's on the hot seat. So I think he's going to need a strong second half of the year and really good playoffs to still be the coach next year.
Didn't he get some votes for coach of the year last year?
Yeah, but that never fixes anything.
I know. I'm just saying that it's just so crazy how quickly that can turn. I mean, I agree because Orlando's been pretty disappointing this year. So yeah, it should probably put Mosley squarely on the hot seat. I mean, there's such a talented team, but whenever you watch them, you see the glaring weaknesses that they have, and you're just looking around like, who's gonna fix it?
They don't. They just have too many good like passers and playmakers to be as stagnant as they are.
Yeah,
It feels like I don't know if they per se need. It feels like they just need a more creative offensive mind in that room,
I think that's
like
fair.
to tie everything together.
No, we're talking about Orlando, Kerm. Yeah, because we talked about this earlier, where I guess Dame kind of called them out, and so 3 and D says Steph Curry says he'll participate, which like we don't worry about the big names doing the 3-point contest because that's obviously a fun competition for them. I'd say Concanupple go back into it next year. Like
Hey,
he had a good showing.
hey, Con Canupa would make a lot more sense if you're looking for all the best of the best shooters than someone like D Book. D Book's like 32% shooter from three these last couple of years. Like he's not the pure shooter that
Mm-hmm.
I think he is, but he does great in these kind of settings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
overall, I don't got any issues with D Book, but I do think if you want to round out the roster with the best shooters, then Con Canupa definitely needs to be there.
yeah, because they have what 8 in the competition. So if you get Steph, Dame, Booker, Clay, Concanupple, that's 5. I'm assuming Portis doesn't have to do it next year. I get he shot 40-something% this year, but yeah, he doesn't need to do it.
Like I said, I think this is the part where if you're looking for the last three, you definitely try to bring some of the ladies over.
Yeah, so if you did those 5,
Like obviously,
Ionescu,
I think you bring back Sabrina. I don't know if
mhm,
she'd do it. Obviously, you throw out an invite to Caitlin to see if
mhm.
she'd want to do it. There we go. You're Reggie Miller. There we go.
Hey, I'm sure Reggie would do it. Yeah, if you left the spot for a legend, see if they still got it. Cooper Flag. See, that's not good because those would be 2 names that you'd be like, hey, they bring a little juice to it. But I get it. Guys just don't want to do it. Yes, that's our
Anthony Black.
plan. Got the 4 of them with, 5 of them with Concanupple, the legend and Reggie Miller, and then Ionescu and Caitlin Clark.
Look at that. There's your 3-point contest for next year.
That wouldn't be bad. If Reggie Miller couldn't do it, get another WNBA player.
Hey, we can put Shams in there. His jumper is just as reliable as his Giannis swords.
I'm surprised he went this long. You didn't mention him.
It was terrific to watch. Like he was awful, and obviously I'd suck out there too. But
Yeah.
when it comes to watching Shams, it was a very successful hate watch.
Right. Yeah, because we didn't mention the celebrity game, which like every year, it is what it is. I feel like it's a fine thing. It was funny seeing Taco Fall turn into, prime Shaq in the celebrity game. Like that was a little funny, but Jeremy Lin out there, it was fun.
I think they still gotta. It's so weird sometimes. Like I feel like you shouldn't have professional players mixed in with the celebrities because that's just weird. Like yes, yeah. I am glad playing against Shams and Maddie Shiba. Like Taco Fall can turn into prime Shaq.
It's like if they got Taco, bring Boban to the other side. Let's really go at it with the 2 giants. Like Taco Fall, just because like when they talked to Giannis about it, it seemed like Giannis put in like a personal call with him because Giannis obviously wants to win everything his name's attached to. So he just went, yeah, give me Taco Fall.
Right. I'd say, and they did it with the 3-point contest too. It's like, well, Jared McCain won the 3-point contest. Like, I
hope he would, yeah.
Like, I'm glad that he can be Drewski and company. Like, awesome.
Yeah. I said that's actually a good point, Reed. Celebrities before were kind of better players. I feel like a lot of those celebrities were playing basketball regularly. So when they got out there was just them to show out their skills. Now it's like you're taking big name celebrities who may not even actually play, but they're just out there just to be out there because they're big names. Yeah, Brian McKnight. Didn't they have like it was like an entertainers league or something? I feel like a lot of those players just did the all-star celebrity game. Yeah. Like even now it's like the NFL players will get out there and like we'll see them dunk and be like, oh snap, look at them. Yeah. Like, I don't remember Amon-Ra really doing anything in this game at all. Yeah, I can't remember him really being out there, but you know. Foot Locker challenge with NFL players. I will say for the NFL, they need to go back to the QB challenge from back in the day. I feel like we're missing the boat with that. I want to see which quarterback, has the throws the longest pass or whatever and the target and all that stuff. Bring that back, please. That's all I'm asking for.
Oh, there you go. NBA All-Star Weekend. We can do celebrity 1v1s.
Well, some of those games might take forever to play.
Say with the way that I saw, Caleb Williams shooting a basketball, that would take forever.
1992 dunk contest: Barry Bonds, Deion Sanders, Ken Griffey, and Chris Carter. Okay, I actually don't remember that. I'm gonna have to look that up on. Look, if Mark Henry didn't rip down a hoop or two, then he failed. Big man. I mean, unless it's okay. I'm gonna check it out on YouTube right after this read. Appreciate that. Is there any other storylines for you, or was that it for you?
I would say that's all I have off the top of my head.
Yeah. I mean, like the obvious storylines, like who's gonna win the East and the West, but it is what it is. Like the Pistons are up 5.5. I guess I'll just do this before we get out of here. Pistons are up 5.5 in the East going into the second half, and then the Thunder have a 3-game lead on the Spurs. Looking at the top 6 here: Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, Raptors, Sixers. Got Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers, T-Wolves.
The Lakers being 5th in the West and 33-21 is so wild to me because they're a team that anytime like something goes slightly wrong, you'd think that they're like 1 in 40 with the way the fan base overreacts and stuff. So it's just funny to me that the Lakers right now, as flawed as they are still like a top 6 team and up to 33 wins. So overall, it's kind of scary to think that what they could be once they properly build the team around Luka.
Right. Because, I mean, both conferences, they're the only team in the top 6 without a positive point differential. Their point differential is literally even. They score 116 and they give up 116 a game. Like it's kind of crazy when you look at it even that way. But that's the NBA for you. And I think that's what's kind of led the Laker fan base like that, because when they look good, they'll look really good. And then when they struggle, it's like, how does this team even win games? Like they are really interesting that way. That probably makes them unpredictable in the playoffs. They'll be obviously matchup based for them, but look, like Jory knows it better than us because she's a Lakers fan, and Mo, because Mo will talk about his Lakers too. The frustrations are definitely there for Lakers fans.
At least you'll always have Jackson Hayes dunk contest highlights.
Yeah, especially like the game before the break, he pulled off that between the legs dunk on a fast break, and we're like, oh, so you're just showing out now because you're in the dunk contest. Then he goes to the dunk contest, and you're like, yeah, you could have kept that to yourself, buddy.
Not fair.
Actually, I think I had one more. The Clippers. Clippers are intriguing to me. Like Kawhi All-Star Weekend, that was like young Kawhi. But now he has to go into the second half of the season. No Zubac, no Harden. and he's going to have to lead that team that's currently 26-28 and 10th in the West. How far can they really move up, and like how good is that roster really now? Down Zubac, who was your probably best rebounder, and Harden, who was having a good year. So that's something I want to watch, because that's a team that easily you could see like the last couple of weeks, like Kawhi be shut down because they're not really moving anywhere, or they go on some crazy run without Harden and Zubac, and people start drinking the Clipper Kool-Aid going into the postseason. I don't think they're going to go far either, Jory, but they're interesting at least.
I think the Clippers, like, if they get cooking, could go up to like 8th in the play-in.
Right. Yeah. I feel like they're kind of locked in as a play-in team. But like if they're struggling, like do they fall out of it and one of these tanking teams below them try to avoid not moving up?
I think they're safe in the play-in. Like, I genuinely can't look at these tanking teams and figure out like who would jump them. Like,
the Grizzlies are 5.5 behind them, and the Grizzlies are Ja and a bunch of whatever. Ja's not picking that team up to make up that ground.
The Mavs aren't good, and then the 3 teams under them are like actively not winning games. So overall, I think the Clippers are safe in the play-in, but I think they have less than a 1% chance to actually like move out of the play-in. So
the Pacers first rounder top 4 protected. Yeah, when you get into all that stuff, that's Oh, we did not. I mean, I don't. If Josh Surprisey wasn't traded, that's kind of a new level of delusion. Because if I was a team, I wouldn't trade for him because, one, who's to say Memphis doesn't just, I don't know, go crazy and like cut him or something? But what am I trading for in Ja? He's not a leader. He's not necessarily playing well. And I don't know how many systems that are out there that he fits into with his skill set. So he has nothing to be surprised about. His best bet is turn around in Memphis, and maybe we'll care in a couple of years and go, hey, Ja, you're whatever. Maybe you have some value then. If he got traded this deadline, it probably would have been one of those dump deals where it's like Ja for some no-namer and like a second-round pick, and we'd be like, really? That's all you could get for Ja? Like, he should be happy he didn't get traded.
The best deal you could have gotten for Ja Morant at the deadline was definitely like, you see that, like the Trae Young trade.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you get a somewhat intriguing young player, but I think we kind of figured he wasn't getting moved when the reports came out that the Bucks were in talks with them and the Bucks were trying to get Memphis to add a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you knew it's like, okay, you're not getting moved because I don't think they'll go for that.
Right. It would have been a deal that we would have looked at and said Memphis clearly doesn't know what they're doing. If they had to attach a first-round pick to get him out, not a chance.
Yeah, so they might as well just try to rebuild his value and try to trade him again in the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Trae Young trade, I mean, I've been talking about getting Trae Young out of Atlanta for a couple of years, but when they actually did it and you got McCollum and Kispert, I was not ready for that to be the deal. I was just like, one, Kispert isn't that good. CJ McCollum's like 45. Like, well, that's what Trae Young's getting you in 2026, but hey, they finally ripped that Band-Aid off. In the past, he was hearing, about John Trae being better than SGA. I mean, look, if it was SGA, Clippers SGA, sure, because nobody knew who SGA was with the Clippers. But yeah, if you found somebody who was trying to make that argument today, I would walk away from that conversation because you'd probably hear a lot worse the longer you talk to them.
If somebody tried to make that argument to me now, I would literally just post that one meme where it says soldiers still fighting war that ended 30 years ago. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think the last time you could even make a case for like Ja over SGA, for example, was 2022.
Yeah.
And even then, that's only because I believe obviously that was the year they got Chet, so that was not a good OKC team, even though Shea still was very good that year. So I don't even think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Trey, I don't think there was any arguments for him past like 2021 because he had that Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, that. Yeah.
So overall, yeah, I don't think I hope nobody's making that argument now.
No, he did say before it was in the past he was hearing from people. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, now you'd be crazy to make the argument. But yeah, I guess thanks for the reminder, Jory, because yeah, we didn't talk about Ja. But look, hopefully he turns that surprise into better play on the court. Highly doubt it. But yeah, so that's all we have. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Like I said, hopefully next week the tease pays off that we get 4 people in here. But worse, we'll have 3 next week. I guess, Brett, anything you want to add before we get out of here? Let them know what they can look forward to later on.
Yeah, we're going to be on Meaty Boys tonight. We'll be talking some Elimination Chamber. It'll be a lot of fun. If there's any wrestling questions you want answered, definitely hit us up in about an hour or so.
All right. For me, I will be back on Friday. Passion and Precision with Jory and Key. We will have a lot to talk about. We got a lot of final burn candidates already in the works. So, definitely tune in Friday for that. Other than that, until next week, for another edition of On the Ball podcast, we appreciate you all for tuning in. Make sure you check out the other shows, Meaty Boys later on, Coffee and Sports in the morning, Wire to Wire on Wednesday. You guys know, but you'll see it in the outro anyway. So enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next Monday. All right, bye.